Welcome back to A Little Bit of Cheese, your bite-sized Wisconsin sports podcast. My name is Cody Depius. My accomplice here is Sam Douglas. A lot has gone on in the world since we have last spoken. I went to Vegas. Did not do well on blackjack for those that were wondering about my well-being. It was okay. I had fun. It was a company meeting. Sam, what have you been up to?
I was losing gambling here in Wisconsin, actually. So you maybe you got rich out in Vegas, but I sure did not. I thought the Packers were going to win. I thought the Bucks were able to do a little bit of something, and my bookie had a great day. So it was not a fantastic Saturday night anywhere other than Illinois. But
Yeah, I lost it a little bit. I gotta reel in my emotions sometimes, but there are just those moments when you lose it and you scream at an inanimate object and your wife looks at you like you need to leave the house because you're gonna scare the people that don't live in your house. But yeah, that's how that went. So we'll go back. Green Bay losing to Chicago in a game where they were up 21-3 at halftime and had a 98% chance of winning with 5 minutes left to go in the ball game. And that entire second half, Sam, I know you were feeling it too, but you knew that Chicago was going to at least make a push to go win that game. No matter how far ahead Green Bay got, was there that lurking feeling as well?
no, I think
No.
I'm the only one who has that sentiment. I think, yeah, the Bears had made a lot of comebacks, and the Packers, were came out calling a game like they were soft in the second half. I never doubted until the last play. I saw Jordan Love locked in. I thought we had a chance until the very end. I, I knew it wasn't going to be pretty, but I thought there's no way, right?
Yeah.
But
Yep.
I
That's it.
also, going back a couple weeks, I didn't watch. I was at the concert. I was at Minneapolis show when
True.
we last lost to the Bears. So I didn't have this recent memory. So I would imagine a couple weeks removed from watching something like that happen, you know, yourself and everybody else that watched that tragedy happen a couple weeks ago would have been a little bit more prepared. But no, I didn't until the last play. I kept Jordan Love was locked. Jordan Love was absolutely locked in.
Hmm.
And I thought, you know what? Give the guy a chance to go score a touchdown. I think he can do it. Got a decent chance, but no, I
Yeah.
didn't deserve it.
His
Didn't
boys
deserve
didn't help him. I'll say that. You had two plays. I mean, Jaden Reed,
Yeah.
that pass inside the 20, that would have got you down. You would have had all the shots that you would have possibly wanted, not worrying about time because you would have had 40 seconds at that time. And it was that moment when I lost my voice screaming at the TV, when Reed had it hit off of his hands. And if he would have let it not hit his hands, it would have hit him dead square in the forehead. and that is my argument for why Jaden Reed has not gotten the opportunity as your number one target in Green Bay. I think that these are things that have been seen in practice. These are things that we have seen a multitude of time now on the field where it's your big moment. And you saw the difference here. You saw the two ends of your spectrum on who you can go to in those big moments and trust. And that guy is Matthew Golden. And I am confident in saying that now. After this game, out near the sidelines, crazy catch, stick him. I'm telling you, we saw it in preseason. We saw it when he got his opportunities. When that ball's in his hands, it sticks. And he's not letting go of it. And he's not going to hold it out here like Romeo Dobbs and wave it in front of your face. Like, I can't stand when he does that either. I'm going to be happy to not watch that next year. But Jaden Reed, you can do some incredible things. Got to catch the ball there. And Christian Watson in that last opportunity, too. There was a ball. It would have been a fingertip catch ball, but a ball. He brings that in. Green Bay scores and Green Bay wins the game. And Jordan put it in the only spot that he could have to give him the opportunity, and it was there. And Watson just threw his one hand up over the middle. So those are two plays where people can say, and I read these comments from people around the league, fans from other teams. I knew Jordan Love couldn't do it. Jordan Love did it. In my head, Jordan Love did.
There was another
everything.
drop. Dobbs dropped a 15-yard slant on that drive too.
Yep.
That was the third drop on that drive.
Yep. Yeah, Jordan Love did it in my mind. Jordan Love led you down the field and gave you the opportunity with all the things that even went against them. And that is included calling the timeout and then having the delay of game penalty after that, too. And all of these things, yes, you can
That's
have some
terrible.
blame on Jordan there.
If you get I'm sorry if you get a delay of game after a
Yeah,
timeout, you don't deserve it.
yeah.
Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, exactly. And a
That
lot of
got me a
this
little
has to
emotional.
go with LaFleur as well, with your disorganization. The guys not knowing what to do, not knowing how to be prepared. And you can put blame on, I think, everybody on the offensive unit essentially there. It was embarrassing. You go in, you get your assignment, you get lined up, and you have to go. You have to go. And we saw this all year. We've seen this with Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love as a unit. There's no sense of urgency. It's go, 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 go. Clock it. Go. Okay, timeout. We're ready. We know what we're doing. We have to go. We have to get it done. And this is all a situation that has been set up by your lack of defense. And I can't even give that much blame to them because they played incredible for 3 quarters and got burnt out because of the amount of 3-and-outs that the offense had in the third and the fourth. Like, I can't blame the defense. You knew that it was going to be a bend, don't break. You can't bend a bend, don't break that much. It's going to break eventually. And we watched it break. We saw the damn overflow. So there's,
The defense was never expected to win us the game. If we were
yes.
going to win that game, it was always going to be putting 30 plus on the board. That's why I had hopes that we would pull it out because I was like, yeah, we're going to give up points. I fully expect were they at 6 points at halftime. I expected that to balloon a little bit. So criticizing the defense, I think those criticisms are there, were there, will still be there.
Mm-hmm.
Keyshawn Nixon is never quarterback one. He never
Yep.
was. We knew this a year ago when we started having these conversations. We knew that without Micah, without Devontae Wyatt, and trading Kenny Clark, that we are going to have some holes in the run game a little bit. The defense was never going to win us this game. It had to be the offense. So I don't think it excuses the defense. I think Keyshawn Nixon needs to find a different team to play for next year. But it's definitely tougher on the offense. You can't. And Matt LaFleur, it's the play calling. The play calling is what gets me. Pardon language. He called the game like a pussy in the second half.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
terrible. I checked it out, and I want the Packers next year to score 40 points a handful of times. 40-point Matt LaFleur coaching games. Cody, I checked this out. We don't score 40 very much. For a young athletic team that the Packers want to be, you'd think there'd be a little bit of, gung ho. And we've talked about this attitude that sometimes they come out sleepy. 40-point games. This year, how many do you think we had?
I think one against Dallas.
That's the one. It was 40 points. It was Dallas ended up in a tie. 2024, last year, how many 40-point games?
I don't know if you had one.
Zero. Zero 40-point games last year. 2023, how
I
many
don't think you
40-point
had
games?
one. I
We had
don't.
one. It was Dallas in the playoffs,
Okay. Yeah.
which 48-point route defense had a couple late
Yeah.
scores there too. That game. So over Jordan Love's starting career, Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur, there's been two 40-point games, and it's been against Dallas, which I get a kick out of. But that's
Yeah.
just two 40-point games over 3 years. Now we go back to Rodgers. Rodgers 2022, there was one 40-point game. Rodgers 2021, one 40-point game. 45 ball in Chicago. I own you. I've been owning you.
Yeah.
2020, one of the most prolific teams I think you and I have ever seen. We had four 40-point games and only 5 games all year under 30. That's when we really thought that this Matt LaFleur offense was getting
Yeah.
going. When we saw the tricks he has, the game call that he put in when Malik Willis was the quarterback. That's that 2020 season when we had 5 games under 30 all year, averaged like 33 on the season. That's what's keeping Matt LaFleur his job right now. Because I don't know what else he's done to keep his job right now.
Yeah. No, that's it. And you have to think of the last 4 years, the maximum amount of wins that this team has reached in a regular season has been 9 in the last 4 years with Matt LaFleur as your head coach. So when you look at the record and the winning percentage, and I see people use this argument all the time, because, of course, Matt LaFleur started out with a couple of 13-win seasons here in Green Bay. Like, Aaron Rodgers played like Superman. Aaron Rodgers had some of the best quarterback seasons we have ever seen. You know, the last couple of years when you're arguing, oh, who's going to be the MVP? Aaron Rodgers would have had an MVP in either of those because of how he played in that 38, 39 age. Like what he did there was stuff that you just don't see, but we got used to it. And we almost negate that, and we give a lot of credit to Matt LaFleur. And I'm not saying that he deserves no credit, because before LaFleur got there, Rodgers and the offense, they weren't working well. Rodgers wasn't throwing interceptions, but he wasn't throwing a lot of touchdowns either. Like, there's a 25 touchdown, 2 interception year, and the Packers sucked. So that a lot of that was Matt McCarthy, the run, pass, punt offense that they like to run there. But LaFleur deserves credit, and I've given him flowers before, but there comes a point when you have to sit and you have to realize that something has to happen. And there has to be progression. You can go in every year and say, well, it's the youngest team in the NFL. They're gonna make mistakes. But you can say that every year now with this team because of the way that they operate, where they don't sign anybody to a second contract, and everybody there is just young. And that's the bottom line. And it's a young team, and it's been a young team ever since Jordan Love got there. Even before Jordan Love, your wide receivers were all young. Your offensive line has consistently been young. And
that's not changing. That's not changing. Now that we're paying Micah, we're going to keep – nobody's getting a second contract.
Precisely.
We got two $40+ million. Jordan Love's a $50 million guy. Yep. Nobody's getting that second contract.
It's an excuse that you can use every single year for this team, and there has to be a point where you have seen progression. With Jordan Love, I have seen progression. Jordan Love played MVP caliber football, I think, this year. He was in the conversation, got hurt, and that's where he lost the conversation. Don't get me wrong, Matt Stafford played incredible this year. He's my guy. I know a lot of people are saying Drake May. I can't really listen to that. But all things considered, Jordan Love was right there. He was in the top 3 in MVP odds at the time that he got hurt. You saw what he did in that playoff game. I saw steps forward. From a guy who was a good, solid quarterback before, I think he's someone that's going to be in MVP conversations for years to come. I think he's going to give you an opportunity to go and win a Super Bowl. You need to see things come together around it. And that's your team that wins it. There's no one singular person on planet Earth that can win a Super Bowl without that team being built around it like it needs to. It needs to be a Super Bowl caliber team, and that is across all eras. There's not one guy that's going to do it. Patrick Mahomes is probably the closest, but he had some incredible Spagnuolo defenses that were there when he was winning them too. Tom Brady never did it by himself. Those defenses were always crazy. There were a couple times they made it when the defense was good and not great, and a lot of those times were when they lost the Super Bowl. So it's and this is kind of a little ramble here, but Jordan Love is not going to be my concern for keeping you from a Super Bowl until you see the rest of the roster around and he is the one at fault. To this point, I am not seeing Jordan Love the one at fault. Philly wasn't great. I didn't think he played all that bad. I saw everything else crumble around him and the opportunities taken away from him like candy from a baby. And every single receiver went down. I'm pretty sure Bo Melton was your number 1 receiver by the end of that game.
He was.
And yes, you have to go and find a way to get it done.
Route. I remember that. One good comeback route. I thought Bo Melton was back.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And we've seen why they wanted to make him a defensive back because of his catching abilities this year. But this point, Jordan Love has not been what's keeping you from a Super Bowl, and I think Gutekunst definitely deserves some blame. That there are going into this year, you and I knew it was corner, it was interior defensive line. You needed to find a way to have depth. Those were parts that crumbled. The offense, you would have liked to see more depth on the line, but you didn't see the progression from guys that you were hoping. Cough, a first-round pick. Elton Jenkins was not a good center. I think Belton is going to be a solid guard to a point. I think Morgan you're going to see be fine. I think Rasheed Walker had an awful year. I'll come and say that he did not play well, and a lot of things going against him on that side. But
And the two
defensively, just holes that they've got to fill, and we'll get more on the Matt LaFleur conversation in a bit.
the two money as far as Gutekunst, and I'm going to get back to Jordan Love. But the two money pieces that we got this offseason, we were never stoked about. I mean, it felt
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, we could use a guard. We could also use a cornerback. I don't think Aaron Bakes and Nate Hobbs are the answers here. And we kind
No.
of thought that right away. It was always, tentative optimism here. And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
he had some bad numbers in San Francisco. Maybe they had a good unit. Trent Williams' numbers really high. He's gonna inflate a little bit every that's not fully on Goody right
Yeah.
there. I think he did a little bit of what he could. I think he tried to penny pinch on both spots rather than go and get the best guy. Now, who knows if retrospect is 2020, maybe if we take a big swing earlier, we don't end up with Micah. So I'm
Yeah.
glad that what happened, we ended up with Micah Parsons because
Mhm.
going forward, we've got a captain on defense, and I'm freaking stoked about that.
Yeah.
Want to get back to Jordan Love. Um, Jordan Love, that might be the best throwing locked in game I've ever seen from Jordan Love.
Mhm.
He was completely locked. The ball was going where he wanted it. There was a handful of drops. He had a handful of intentional incompletions. I think it
Mhm.
was like 5 or 6 balls that were, just very intentional, especially at the end of the first half, just throw it out to kill some clock or
Yeah.
whatever.
And completion
Um,
percentage wasn't great. That's not what we're praising him for on this game. But a lot
exactly.
of
It was the needed throws where they needed to be,
Mhm.
hitting guys in the hands. I've talked about this about Jordan Love a handful of times, how he seems a little bit too calm. Um,
Mhm.
and not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. They say this about Joe Burrow. He's got the mentality of a serial killer where nothing phases him. And that's what you want from a quarterback. You want this unfazed, laser locked, heart rate is at 5, type of guy.
All started with Joe Montana, the original Joe Cool. I will bring that up. Joe Montana, the guy who literally called his wife from the sidelines in the middle of a game. But continue.
There's some moxie there. There's at least some juice. Joe Cool was at least cool. Jordan
Mhm.
Love is almost, too cool. And this is where I'm going with it. I don't think that he's going to go to Matt LaFleur and say, listen to me, we're throwing it.
Yep.
That's a shit call. I'm taking over the offense.
Yeah.
Being too cool, I don't have a say on it. I don't know what's good for an NFL quarterback, or, if Rodgers is screaming at his line, maybe they needed that. Jordan Love being calm, maybe he needs that. But what you do need to do as a quarterback is understand when your offense is flowing, what a crappy play call is, and take the game in your hands when you can. And this felt like an opportunity for Jordan Love to just take over a little bit, to see that the offense wasn't working. Instead, I think he just gets the plays and runs a good offense, and he's a good quarterback. But I think a symptom of being too cool is not correcting Matt LaFleur when he needs to. Do you know what I'm getting at there?
I do. And what I'll say, and you can call me out if you think this is just like defensive bias here, but especially the way that you're talked about in media and fan base, when you see a quarterback out there yelling on the sidelines, like for instance, when Caleb Williams in the first half was damn near crying to the rest of his team out there on the sidelines, slamming his helmet and just looking and pouting like a baby, I think that is seen as a negative thing until you're the guy that has walked the walk. You have the MVPs, you have the Super Bowl, you have it to back you up. Where and I don't know if Jordan Love will ever be the guy that's out there doing any of that stuff. Like we've
Mhm.
seen the videos of Peyton Manning telling Jeff Saturday, "Run the freaking ball." Like I'm calling the plays, you're not calling the plays. If
Mhm.
you're the guy who's done it and you've gone and won the Super Bowls and you know exactly what it takes because you have taken it that far, that's the cool thing to do.
I
And
think the
until
attitude has
then,
to be there. I think if you're court, I
yeah,
don't. If you're the quarterback, that attitude has to be there. I think that's the
yep,
reason that you go win Super Bowls is because you have that attitude, because you have that command, because you're holding people accountable. And I think Jordan Love is a fantastic leader. All of the guys speak very highly of him. I just don't see him being the guy that said is going to go to the coach and say, "Listen to me, you son of a gun." we're running the freaking ball.
Yeah.
We're throwing the freaking ball. And I think that attitude, you know, can work hand in hand with a coach that can sometimes call a little bit of a soft game.
Yeah.
Who struggles to put 40 points up, has had one regular season 40-point game over the past 3 years. The attitude of the quarterback saying, no, we need to do it like this to get a little bit fired up. I think that's got to happen before the championship.
I think this falls more on LaFleur than it does on Jordan. Like knowing, like you need to have a guy come out and be able to talk to you about this and to be open. Be like, hey, Jordan, if I tell you something that you think is just off, you need to tell me. But if that's not a conversation, and like I said, you can call me out if there's any bias here. But it's like a hard nosed thing. We're like, hey, we are in this together. You and I were going to be on a level. Or if Jordan is the guy that is seeing you as the mentor, which I think is the situation that you've seen here because Matt is
Mhm.
the only guy that Jordan has known since he's walked in the league. Jordan has only looked up to Matt LaFleur in every aspect, every single season, no matter what. I don't think there's been a single point where Jordan Love has ever thought that he was above the coach. Now, Aaron Rodgers, on the other hand, will walk into a building and know that or assumingly think that he is the smartest person in the building. And that can sometimes be to a fault. And that can sometimes go out and make you a savant and one of the best quarterbacks to ever play this game. And it's something that you're missing with Love, and I don't think you're ever going to get. So there's a level of confidence there, and then there's a level of relationships where if you get someone else who steps into this building who might be younger, but you need to, like I said, this is like a relationship that you need to have, and it's hard to find. This is like a people kind of thing. This is more of like a personal relationship kind of thing where it can't be weird if the guy comes up and just starts screaming at you because he thinks that you messed up. Because someone can take offense to it. Like, for instance, LaFleur could just see it as completely out of hand, out of pocket, and just stand his ground and not give any fault to anything. And when we hear Matt LaFleur talk in these press conferences, he says, it's my fault, it's my fault, it's my fault. It's not a genuine conversation. I don't think that's had. And this is so hard for us to analyze from the outside because we don't know what's happening behind closed doors. But I am with you in the sense that that is something that I want to see from Jordan. I want for him to feel like there's that opportunity for him to go and tell Matt LaFleur that he's being an idiot. But
And I think some of it all comes back to, sorry.
yeah, that's how I feel. I don't know where to put the blame on that because Jordan might feel like that's not something that would be showing respect or whatever that case might be. But it's something that we're not seeing, and there is a fault for it. I just don't know exactly what that is. And you hope that that switch can flip not only with the way that Jordan handles himself and his emotions and his playing tenacity, but the rest of the team. Because this team has been soft and it has felt soft since LaFleur has got here. Like that's something that we've said consistently.
It's a little on just it comes back to the film room and preparation. If you see
Mm-hmm.
something working and you have the confidence, preparation breeds confidence. If you're prepared for a situation, you're going to go into it thinking that you can control the outcome. If they're studying in the film room and they say, "Yeah, you've got two high safeties, linebacker showing blitz, we know he's dropping off. I know darn well what play we can run right here." That can be an audible at the line. That's first and foremost on Jordan Love. Again, played a great game. Heavy as the head. You want to be a $50 million quarterback, you're going to lose in the first round of the playoffs. You're going to get, this is on
Yeah.
Jordan Love. But it's also on Stanovich, who's drawn up the schemes, who's helping run the offense in the film room. You're the OC. This is on you. It's on Matt LaFleur. It's on all the wide receivers. If you see something working, speak up about it. I think we could use a vet. Where's the Mercedes Lewis on this team that says, we're too young.
Yeah.
Who's speaking up to anybody? Yo, run that concept again. We heard this Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, these are two one-of-one type of guys. But
Mm-hmm.
there was a playoff touchdown. Got to have it touchdown. Ran a fade to Devontae. Didn't work out. They go back to the line and say, run it back.
Yeah.
Run it back. That will work. I don't think anyone on this team, other than Micah Parsons, who I think is that vocal leader on the defense. I don't think anybody on this team
Yeah.
is checking anybody And I look for us to make a veteran attitude addition
Dude,
this
I bring
offseason.
in an old running back.
Really,
I mean that's me preemptively thinking that I don't know if Josh Jacobs is on this team next year. I
really.
yeah, I think that there's quite a chance that they release him. I think they're worried injury wise. Like he's getting paid quite a bit of money for a running back who, with this soft of a line, is not going to be a difference maker, and that's just a blunt fact. And a guy who struggled to be on the field
Well,
from week one.
he's definitely getting to the end of his usage. I mean,
Yeah.
remember back in Oakland, like he was a very high volume,
Hmm.
heavily used running back. He had 300 plus carries in a couple seasons back to back. That doesn't happen very often. Um,
You don't get
I think
healthier after 28 as a running back.
I think he has one more good season, or he can be
Yeah.
serviceable for 2 years, but we do need that secondary back that they can switch drives. I love Keaton Mitchell in Baltimore. Go get a speed back, get a complimentary piece, and you can extend his lifespan a little bit. I had this thought about we can go off topic a little bit. I had this thought about Bijan Robinson recently. When Bijan got to Atlanta, he had to be kind of like, right pissed because they were using Tyler Algier so much. But
Yeah.
then I think they had the conversation. They're like, yo, you guys are both, your careers just got extended by about 4 years because you have each other here. The Bijan and Tyler Algier, why do they have two great young running backs? One of them can carry the load. Yeah, they're doing like a whole lot less up the gut carries. Bijan's career got a whole extra contract extension because he's able to work,
Hey,
with
people
Tyler Algier.
forget Derrick Henry's first 2 years were not great. Like the usage was
Mhm.
not. It was DeMarco Murray was your lead back, and then after that, King Henry became King
So
Henry.
I think there's definitely a way to get an extra running back in this offense. Yeah, well, I mean, where do we go from here? What other than an old running back
I
and
mean,
targeting
there's
Matthew Golden more?
yeah, that I think is going to be at the forefront. Using Golden, getting Tucker Craft back helps so much, so much, and we can just bitch and moan. And this offense at full health, I think, is a very good unit. I think dang near a top five unit, and injuries happened. You
If my aunt had male parts, we can
yeah,
if on the injury things.
exactly. If my aunt had male parts, she'd be my uncle. Whose quote was that? I got to give credit where credit's due.
Tomlin, dude, that's Tomlin. That's how he
That was
finished an
Tomlin.
interview. And the
Yeah,
reporter in the
that's
back, yeah, we're gonna close on that.
yeah. So it's where do we go offensively? I don't think you see many changes. I think you're drafting linemen. You're really going to try to stock up there. You lost some tenacity. You lost some finesse as well. Uh, Left tackle, I'm a little concerned because I think Jordan Morgan is your next guy that's going to have to step up there, and he'll he can be fine. I'd like to see more competition for him. I'll say that. I feel good. Belton, center, I have some question marks, and then left guard. I know you're paying Banks, but it wouldn't hurt to bring in a kid that could try to push him. So I think that's where you go there. Tight end, you're not worried about anything. You already have too many wide receivers. I always say, just why did we get rid of the fullback and why you don't have like that guy that can play multiple spots and just be a lead block? Like, if you could, like, seventh round, just get me an Alec Ingold type
Yeah,
monster.
I love
Oh, I
that.
love that. But that's just not how LaFleur does it. And it makes me sad when you run 4th and 1 shotgun inside zone. God, I just can't. So that offensively and then defensively, you're going to try to go pass rusher. You need interior line. You need cornerback help. Uh, Safety, they probably won't touch. They always like to get a guy in the 6th or 7th, though. Linebacker, you feel fine. You hope Cooper's okay. And that's another thing that really helped that defense fall apart. In that fourth quarter, you didn't have anybody that could semi cover a linebacker once Cooper was out. Because Cooper is that guy that you have out there in the zone and much better read wise than Quay Walker and Isaiah McDuffie should never be covering anybody. So just a little side note there. But linebacker, I feel okay. You need Quay back. I think Quay had a really good year. I think he's a very solid player. He's your captain on the defense. Him and McKinney worked that really well. I'm not blaming this on Jeff Halfley. There are a couple points where it's like we got to get a guy up, but most of the time they're good with that. Most time they see that. And the one time that I really said it was on that screen where they had three lined up on the outside and Green Bay only had two to show and they ran a screen and there was
And
nobody
Diggs
there.
just took off running backwards. That was the one play
That,
Diggs was
that
on.
I think was Diggs. I don't
Yeah.
think that was on Halfley. That was on Diggs. And that one I was screaming I was like, what are we doing? We got to get up on the line. So I'm not the personnel wasn't there to hold up. And Caleb Williams, he does some crazy stuff. I hate to say it, but he's gonna make you feel stupid sometimes, and that's how this game works. So that's how I feel personally. Special teams has never been good. They'll never be good. That's just they're willing to sacrifice special teams to have a solid offense and defense, and it's going to kill you and it's going to bite you, and you just pray that you have a kicker that you can trust. And Green Bay thought they did, and boy, they didn't. That's an automatic change. Did they release him yet? I think they did.
I haven't seen anything.
Okay. Well,
Bisaccia
regardless, he's
has
not
to.
kicking next year. There's no shot. Bisaccia needs to be fired.
How about Stanovich?
Stenovich, he's a nobody. It's a nobody spot. The offensive coordinator for Green. You need somebody that has balls to be your offensive coordinator. You need somebody that can yell at Matt LaFleur. You're exactly right on that. You need somebody that can call him out. And Steno hasn't done a dang thing in that sense since he got in the building. So it's a nothing spot. And LaFleur, hiring wise, I don't know if he likes hiring guys that are going to go out and call him out. Because Bisaccia didn't do it the whole time. And he was the assistant head coach the entire time. And he wasn't there to be like, what the hell are we doing, Matt? Like, hey, clock management. You should probably save that timeout, or call that timeout here. So those are my biggest need. There's a lot. There's a lot this team needs to figure out. But you have a lot of the good pillars. You've signed your superstar quarterback, your superstar defensive end. You have one of the best tight ends in the game. I feel good with your receiver room. Watson, Golden. Wicks can have a hell of a game once a year as well. And maybe Savion Williams can learn how to do a little bit more in that offense as well. I'm not too concerned position-wise. I don't know. Marshawn Lloyd's probably not going to play like ever.
Ever. Is he second rounder?
Yeah. Third.
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 I get a kick out of the Goody not having first round picks because I think you nailed these. Like it's probably going to be a good thing.
Yeah.
Those first round picks that we traded
Worth
away
it.
weren't going to be good anyways. That's totally fine. I think heading in the draft, I'd be fine if we draft four corners, Cody. I think that's the biggest piece of need that the single most needed position I've seen on a Packers team in a long time, and we've never really. I've seen us have bad offensive lines like early on, early Rodgers, late Favre. That offensive line was dog water. We've seen some really bad units. I mean, 2020 is like we didn't have a single linebacker that was worth a damn. Like Blake Martinez came in and had a great year and then retired to play Pokemon.
Yeah.
But this cornerback unit, Cody, is freaking dreadful.
Mhm.
I'd be fine drafting four corners and let them eat each other up in training camp and let a dog come out of that.
Yeah. Another point of people not calling LaFleur out or like even just your roster or whatnot. Why is Keyshawn Nixon out there and able to decide what his role is on this team? Because that's exactly what happened. He said, I'm not returning kicks and I'm CB1. And all of us were like, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. And that's exactly what ended up happening.
100% it happened. And then, the clip has gone around about his business decision on the goal. I think that was it Swift or when that guy was already kind of going into the end zone, but there's still an opportunity to punch the ball. And we saw Christian Watson get the ball punched out at the one. That was another thing. I mean, the Packers had two fumbles that they recovered on silly mistakes.
And Jacobs had another one too. And that's something how does he not figure that out?
Well, it's a kick return. The guy hasn't returned a kick all year. Why are we holding on to, these fun schemes and ideas that Matt LaFleur has, like having Josh Jacobs return a kick? Why are we debuting that in a playoff game? I think there's some things that you hold close to the chest. Give Josh Jacobs a rep. For Pete's sake. I don't know when the last time he returned a kick was. That's not normal. That's not a normal running back play. I think ball
Yeah.
security is ball security no matter what. But we got to run the offense in the regular season. We got to run some of these concepts. We got to get a little bit creative during the regular season. Step on some throats. If you got really good plays and you're up 21, go up 28. That's fine, man. There's just Matt LaFleur called this game really soft, and
Yeah.
I
So
hope
that'll
it's
bring us to we don't have a lot of time. So we'll have one cheese grater and it'll probably bring us to the end. What is the best case scenario with the Matt LaFleur situation here with Green Bay? What do you think should happen?
Stanovich has to go, and we got to get a an asshole in there for an offensive coordinator. I mean, that seems to be the theme of
Mm-hmm.
this pod here. But
Yeah, you need to hire an asshole. Whether it's like
someone
an
there.
old tight end that goes and says like, "Hey, you don't let him talk to you like that." Like, "Hey, you think you got this? You go tell him you got this." Like someone
Mhm.
to talk to love and be like, "Hey, kid, just go scream at him." Like just take the reins, brother. And yeah, I think that's a okay idea.
If Harbaugh's gone, I mean, I think something there's, and I've said this before, it's just accountability. If we run it all
Mhm.
back, it's like it feels like nobody's held accountable. If nobody's neck is on the chopping block, why would they try any harder? These guys
Hmm.
are getting paid handsomely. It's not a bad life to be an NFL player if you want to be on a good team, play good football, make the playoffs. Welcome to the Packers. That doesn't sit right with me. We have a really, really good, really, really young, fast, aggressive, mean team. Not mean, could be mean. I
Yeah,
don't know. Let's go bite some kneecaps a little bit. And
yeah,
we just don't do it. But
yep,
um,
yeah. You've been missing that the whole time.
I got two notes that we didn't get to.
Yeah, I mean
Just two
we could save him
notes.
for next week too. But you got a quick one?
I just think the Bears thing, I touch on this a little bit.
Yeah.
We've been dominating the Bears for my whole life, your whole life, longer than that. They hate us because they ain't us.
Hmm.
All this Bears talk, the Ben Johnson handshake, they're just beefing because they're the little brother that finally got a win. So
Yep.
good for them. Take your 1W, Chicago. You guys are gonna get routed by the Rams next week. I saw a headline that Matt LaFleur has been helping Sean McVay prep a little bit, which I think is just the richest thing in the world. But Chicago can go you walk off a bridge as far as I'm concerned. I think the Packers lost that, and they hate us because they ain't us.
Yeah, I feel, and I mean the two wins that they had against Green Bay this year, like they were seriously getting dominated for most of that game.
They took zero offensive snaps with the lead over the three games. The
Yeah.
Bears never took an offensive snap with the lead over the Packers. So,
Yep.
congrats, you beat Matt LaFleur twice in a year. I don't think that's going to be the case
Yeah.
going forward.
Hey, I'll say this: if Matt LaFleur is fired, I don't think my instant reaction is no. That's how I feel
Sure.
personally. Like I don't think I feel bad. I don't feel like it's a bad decision if you fire him, and I feel like there's still a way you can make it the right decision to keep him. That's how I feel. Like,
I think that's valid, but the seat is hot, Cody. The seat is
oh,
hot. If the Packers don't perform next year, and this might be good for the team, if we run it back, everybody's seat better be hot next year. I'm talking
yes.
super hot fire.
Hey, I'll say this: if
Yeah.
Green Bay didn't beat Dallas in 2023, Matt LaFleur wouldn't be your head coach right now. That game holds a lot of weight for me, and a
But
lot
he
of
is.
weight for keeping Matt LaFleur as a head coach.
I'll root for the guy as long as he's wearing green and yellow.
Sure. Yeah. No, me too. I want him to succeed, just like Doc Rivers, right? All right, that'll do it for us this week. We'll see you next week. We can recap some NFL stuff, maybe some Brewers, and maybe the Bucks as well if they still exist. This is Cody, that's Sam. This has been another edition of A Little Bit of Cheese, your bite-sized Wisconsin sports podcast.